Yeah, so this is probably going to be a little controversial for some people because you never got to the levels of your sparring because you made excuses. And this is what I'm talking about. Martial arts is supposed to be about self-defense. And self-defense is not grab someone by the lapel or the wrist. And I've never been grabbed like that in fights in the street. However, we know that when fighting point karate or kickboxing or even MMA for that matter, that's not what you consider real fighting because there's rules. So let's take these rules and think about it. In every form of fighting, including boxing, under rules, sports in this case, you literally want to hit the person without getting hit. Hence, point karate. If you look at Mayweather, when he fights, his hands down like a point karate fighter. His upper body turns like a point karate fighter. And for whatever it's worth, those of you who love MMA, and I'm one of them, point fighters that are doing it with decent quality, they literally are like the kryptonite to the guys who fight with their shoulders square. So the fighters of yesteryear fought under different rules, even in so-called point karate. The groin was a target because Kempo was a dominant style in the West Coast, and some regions of the East Coast too. Texas and Chicago and California were the predominant areas with groin kicks. So if you fought in that region, you had to kick fast to make sure that you did not get scooped into the groin. Now, New York was known for hardcore stationary fighters. And again, I can't go back too far because I only saw the fighters from 1976 and beyond. However, that's quite a bit of a while. Not counting, I saw videos of people before that. And this is what I noticed. In the 60s, besides a few people, such as Mr. Norris, who was doing what we consider today, well, I shouldn't say today, because they even changed the name of that. He did what was called a blitz, which is a cross step that goes about 10 to 20 feet, depending on how much momentum you have. He did that against Skipper Mullins. Now, both these guys originally were from Texas, and they were fighting in the Long Beach Internationals at the Grand Championship Eliminations, the semifinals. And one of them, meaning Mr. Skipper Mullins, jumps up and throws a 360-degree spinning back kick. That I do not see anyone doing that today because this was offensive and not defensive. However, it wasn't so much that it was him doing that, it was the fact that he's a Taekwondo stylist. So styles made actually all of us get better. For example, even though he was a Taekwondo stylist and so was Mr. Norris, Tom Sudor, they were in a tournament with groin kicks, but neither one of them threw kicks to the groin. That was a matter of prerogative. The grand champion that day was Mr. Alan Steen, who actually beat Mr. Norris. This was 1966, but if you watch these two matches, which to me, those are the earliest two matches that I ever saw inside of a ring when Mr. Parker was actually judging, you see a level of professionalism that I didn't even see in the 1970s when I actually saw in New York. In New York, it was really hardcore. You smelled a lot of Tiger Bomb, Tiger Bomb predominantly, or Bengay. However, when I would watch videotapes of people fighting in the 70s or even 60s, I didn't see the arsenal of techniques that I saw years after. I mean, mind you, I'm not the oldest person, but I've been around for a minute. Longer than most of you guys. April 19th, 1976 and May 20, 28 was when I went to my first tournament to compete in. So I've seen more than most. However, moving forward to what I would consider when sport karate, point tournament, or what have you, was ultimately the best for me, was when people had the diversity of kicking with both sides. They were able to sweep. They were able to hit people with hands and fists. They were able to fake and reposition. Not many people did all of that. There was a handful of people who did. But those who did not become versatile, to me, limited their true potential because they were taught by people years after to just use what works. In other words, what you're good at. But to me, I always felt that, see, you guys probably didn't. In the karate tournament, I still had to make it home via the train station to the South Bronx during the 19 70s and 80s, pretty tough times. So when some of you guys just went home to your suburbs or got in the car, welfare wasn't paying for no goddamn karate tournaments. So my attitude behind the tournaments was a little different. It was more dangerous to make it to my block with the trophy without being stuck up. So I always took martial arts seriously. However, I was limited with my skills because I come from a style originally. Well, first I trained in the park, right? So there was always somebody who said they know how to do martial arts, and some Vietnam vet while smoking some weed in the basement with a yin yang, you know. And I trained with a guy he was the superintendent. But then what I realized was that, you know, I mean, I was a little kid and I was influenced. I realized that I really loved this martial arts, and I started really studying it to the best of my ability. And at the time, I could just go into the library and try to get some books. I make a fist like this on my right hand, and I didn't even know that until I started teaching, and some of my students did that. That was the book on Kyokushinkai, where they were actually doing a fist like that. But let me keep going. So to me, martial arts tournaments with rules still gave you the ability to try to hit the person without being hit, which is the same fighting intentions with any form of pugilism, whether it's a boxing included. You hide behind your shoulder, the best block in the world not being there, footwork, fakes, repositions, angles being diverse, because God forbid you had an injured leg, you should be able to protect yourself with the other leg. Now, I'll be honest with you. In the 1990s, I was heartbroken because, and even though I started back in the mid-80s, because a lot of the people who I looked up to me, sold out just because they got on some teams. And these teams were influential to the point where people who were part of a family, meaning a school, all of a sudden were extracted because of some money to get on some so-called team. And man, that was the worst thing. Now, mind you, getting down with people who already were from a school, like a pickup game, that was different. You know, that to me, team competition, North versus the South, East versus the West, New York versus New Jersey, that was always cool to have. But in terms of a professional team that people all of a sudden don't even train with a school that taught them that, I thought that was disgusting. Now, from point karate, most of the guys, or a lot of the guys, went into kickboxing, or what became kickboxing. Before that was full contact. And if you look at their skills, their kicks were a lot better than even a lot of the guys today. It wasn't just Superfoot. It wasn't just Superfoot and Jeff Smith. A lot of people. Actually, one of the best kickers that I ever saw, to the point where when his arms were actually, you know, with illness, his arms, he wasn't having control over his arms. But Marty Manuel, I saw a videotape of him kickboxing with his arms pretty much dead. And this guy can kick with both legs, man. I've never been impressed by people who only do techniques from one side. I'm sorry. And I know Bruce Lee, you know, was the one that influenced a lot of people to do that. But to me, man, that shit did not impress me. I'm sorry to say. I'm sorry to say. If you was just a puncher or just a kicker, say, yes, I give you props where it was due. But no, I did not and was not the type of person who I enjoyed watching. If your techniques were whack, they were freaking whack. And let's keep it real. Yeah, some of the guys won regardless because they had influence and what have you. But from an aesthetic standpoint, it wasn't artistic to me. That's why I've always been a stickler to the quality of the technique. And when people couldn't kick or couldn't punch and they made excuses, like how the hell is it that these freaking guys have been teaching martial arts all these years and they don't have the freaking split? You know, I made a big issue about that. People had bad hips because they've been stretching wrong all these freaking years. I never saw a damn picture of no damn Yamaguchi in a split. Not that you need the split in order for you to be able to kick someone to the head. My point is that how many hip replacements have we had because people have been doing exercises, that's in stretching, the wrong way. Why do I say the wrong way? At 54, I don't have any hip problems at all. But I stretched the way they did. Raising your standards. And point karate to me, sport karate is just sparring in general, because we used to do just sparring, right? And in the dojo, you wouldn't stop for a point. And I fought against a lot of guys who were supposed to be kickboxers at the time. And one thing that I noticed immediately was that their distance was so much closer. So anytime they would get close to me, I was hitting them with a freaking sidekick to the face.